Trevor Lawrence and Davante Adams. Those are the two stories we're going to cover in the latest episode of the Cross the Middle Show. I'm your host, Sean Kuzma. We're going to start with Trevor Lawrence, so let's get it going. Trevor Lawrence, man, what a player. What a player going all the way back to his time at Clemson. He's one of the best college football players we've ever seen. Wins the national championship. One of the best quarterback prospects we've ever seen when he's coming out of college. The Jaguars basically traded and cut all their best players so they could tank and get Trevor Lawrence. During his rookie season, they're still the worst team in football. Well, this past year, that all changed. Trevor Lawrence turned the Jaguars into a contender, which wasn't easy to do, I guess you can say, because they were depleted of talent. They didn't have anybody. But Trevor Lawrence comes in, he puts the team on his back, they win a playoff game and go on a run. Things just completely changed for Trevor Lawrence to the point where it's like, this guy is going to be better than a superstar. He's got a chance to be the face of the league someday. That's how good Trevor Lawrence can be, because it's not easy to go to the Jaguars and completely turn around that franchise, especially when they were in that bad a shape. Trevor Lawrence did it. It's because he's got all the tools to be great. Not only that, he's got it upstairs too. The brain, the mindset, the approach to the game, all those things that you can't measure. Trevor Lawrence has them all. He's cool, calm, and collected. He's got swagger. The guy is just a different type of football player. And when he puts it all together, you see what he can do. I think this is just the beginning for Trevor Lawrence. I think he's just getting warmed up. Like I said, I think he can be the face of the whole entire league someday. It's really only a matter of time for Trevor Lawrence. I also really like what he did with Christian Kirk. When Christian Kirk came over, he was a free agent, played all those years with Arizona to start his career. He's a vertical threat. Well, he links up with Trevor Lawrence, and those two just gel from the get-go. Some of those throws that Trevor Lawrence is throwing deep to Christian Kirk, he's just putting something on those passes, and Christian Kirk is running under him every single time. They connect for a ton of touchdowns, and what it basically did is it gave Trevor Lawrence that guy that he can really, connect with in terms of that quarterback and wide receiver relationship. Those guys are on the same page. It gave him a weapon. It gave him someone that has explosiveness and someone that can, take the top off the defense. I know we say that a lot in this show, but it all goes back to Randy Moss. If you can take the top off the defense, you're going to win more football games. Christian Kirk can do that. He's the guy that is, he's the guy that makes the big play. He makes the big play by getting behind the secondary, getting behind those safeties, which, it takes speed to get behind NFL safeties. Christian Kirk can do that. Trevor Lawrence has been counting on him because he knows that Christian Kirk is capable of making those deep touchdown passes that you need in the National Football League. Got to be able to get quick scores in the NFL. If you can't, manufacture some quick scores by having someone like Christian Kirk or a Stephon Diggs that can go deep, it's tough to win in the National Football League if you can't get a quick score every now and then. Obviously, when you have Trevor Lawrence at quarterback too, makes it much, much easier. Trevor Lawrence just uncorks some of those throws and lets them fly. Christian Kirk runs under it. Zay Jones, I thought Trevor Lawrence did a great job of resurrecting Zay Jones' career too. Zay Jones made some nice plays last year for the Jaguars offense. And I think it's safe to say that Zay Jones has earned Trevor Lawrence's trust, because he wouldn't be getting that much targets in this offense unless Trevor Lawrence had something going with Zay Jones, something good going on there. Clearly, they do have something good going on, because Trevor Lawrence is very comfortable looking Zay Jones' way. So everything is looking good. It's all coming together for that Jaguars offense. I like how they're doing it with players that were kind of cast off by other teams. Christian Kirk doesn't stick around in Arizona. Zay Jones, I think he was with the Raiders last. These were guys that, didn't stick around with their teams. They get to Jacksonville. They get with a great quarterback like Trevor Lawrence. What happens? Things start changing for the better. these guys start making plays again. It's amazing what a great quarterback can do for a receiver that might be, I guess you can say, a journeyman receiver. Because if they're jumping around from team to team like Zay Jones has done, I know he was in Buffalo too for a little bit, he hasn't really been able to stick around with one team. Maybe he just likes going to different jobs, but it's more likely that, he's not being retained by some of these teams. Well, in Jacksonville, it looks like Zay Jones is one of the key pieces to the puzzle. Give Trevor Lawrence a pat on the back for that, because he can take these players that, other teams couldn't see the best of, and he can turn them into, contributors for the Jaguars, just because, he is so good at understanding the game, processing the game, understanding where all his weapons need to be. He understands the rhythm and the timing of the game. Those are things that's hard for a quarterback to get a grasp of, but Trevor Lawrence, he's got a good feel for the game right away. You can tell this is just the beginning for Trevor Lawrence. The other thing we have up is the Davante Adams story. Davante Adams is the best wide receiver in the NFL. He's number one in my book. I don't think it's even close. What he was able to do this past year was just so impressive to me. How many times he got separation, how he's so good at selling his routes. Really, that's how he does it. Like Justin Jefferson can go up and make the catch, above the defender. We talked about him earlier. CeeDee Lamb is a guy that can go up above the defender and make the catch. Davante Adams is the best receiver in the league, but he does it a little bit differently. He doesn't do it really with acrobatic catches by going above the defender and making the catch. He does it with his route running. He does it by getting separation. He does it with just being fluid in and out of his breaks. He does it by, just completely putting defenders on skates with his route running. So, Cooper Kupp's kind of the same way. It's funny that those two guys are basically the best receivers in the NFL right now, along with Justin Jefferson. But right now, what are the best receivers doing? They're getting it done with their route running. Davante Adams, route runner. Cooper Kupp, route runner. I think Justin Jefferson's a little bit more of an athlete, an acrobatic catch type player. Look at his catch against Buffalo. That Justin Jefferson catch against Buffalo, that's an acrobatic catch. Davante Adams, he can just run a simple out route and you get lost as a defender where you can't even stay on the guy's hip just because he's that good at running routes. Because as a defender, you're in your back pedal. You think it's a slant. No, it's actually an out. Davante Adams just gave you a little head fake and you got lost. That's what Davante Adams does. Then after the catch, he always catches the ball, does that little spin move he does to get more yardage. I mean, it's amazing. What he's been able to do has been absolutely amazing. Best receiver in the league. Tore it up for the Raiders last year. Was him and Josh Jacobs, what they did for the Raiders, man, those were the two pieces that they had to hold on to. We'll see if they can get the Josh Jacobs deal done and keep Josh Jacobs around. Obviously, Davante Adams is going to be there. But they need to keep Josh Jacobs too, because Davante Adams and Josh Jacobs were like the two pieces that the Raiders could build around going forward, just because they were both electric. The fact that they were both on the same offense, you're looking at Davante Adams at receiver, Josh Jacobs at running back in the backfield. I mean, that was absolutely incredible, just because those guys were so flashy, and it made the Raiders such a fun team to watch. Even though they only won 6 games last year, they were still such a fun team to watch, because as far as Davante Adams go, I mean, he's the smoothest player in the NFL. It's amazing that one player can be that smooth, because he's not Calvin Johnson in size. Calvin Johnson was huge, fast, could jump higher than anybody. That's not the case. Davante Adams is a normal size receiver. He's just smoother than anybody. He's got the best technique. He's fundamentally sound in his routes. It's just routine for him. He's a natural when it comes to route running, to the point where it doesn't even matter that he's not Calvin Johnson in size. It's just the fact that he's on another level when it comes to being that smooth with his routes. I've never seen anything like it. It's amazing what he's become in the NFL, even with the Packers, now with the Raiders. I'm excited to watch him pick up right where he left off just because nobody can check him. There's nobody in the NFL that can check Davante Adams. Don't get me wrong, they might have a good game against him where they kind of win in the sense that maybe Davante Adams doesn't go for 100, maybe he doesn't go for a touchdown or two. But still, it's more just luck than actually beating Davante Adams. Davante Adams just might not have got the targets that game. He might not have had many passes come his way. But it's not the fact that anybody beat Davante Adams. Nobody can beat Davante Adams. He beats everybody. He just might have an off night where he didn't perform up to his level. But nobody can really lock him down. Nobody can put the clamps on him. It's not going to happen. The guy's too good. He's going to put you on skates. Then he's going to catch the football. Best hands. His hands are just amazing. He doesn't drop anything. He makes the contested catches. He makes catches in traffic. Doesn't really go up and get the football as well as, say, a CeeDee Lamb or a Justin Jefferson. Probably isn't that good at going deep as a Stephon Diggs or a Christian Kirk, but he's better than all those guys. He's the best receiver in the NFL. When you put it all together, his route running is just so good that it puts him at the top of the totem pole. He's the first head up on the totem pole because, the other guys in the league just can't do the things that Davante Adams can do. I mean, he was drawing double teams all season long, and he still carved every single defense that he went up against. He still carved up every single secondary that he went up against. I mean, there's not enough good things I can say about Davante Adams because the guy is just cut from a different cloth. Really, that's all I got for this episode of the Cross the Middle Show. I'm John Kuzma. Thanks for tuning in. We are ready to rock and roll on the Cross the Middle Show. I'm your host, John Kuzma. We're going to start with the Kareem Hunt story. So, new Commanders offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy wants Kareem Hunt on the Commanders. Remember, these two spent some time together with the Chiefs. Bieniemy was offensive coordinator, helping Andy Reid on the offensive side of the ball. Kareem Hunt was the star running back that was making big play after big play. It's never been whether or not, Kareem Hunt can play or not. It's all about whether or not he can take care of himself off the field because the guy can play. He's better than being a backup running back. Remember, he went to the Browns. He was a backup running back behind Nick Chubb. Well, I think Kareem Hunt is too good to be a backup running back. He's better than a backup running back role. He needs to be the number one guy. If he goes to the Commanders, he'll probably be the top running back in that backfield. I know they have some guys that can play over there, Gibson, Robeson, but still, you got to go with Kareem Hunt over those guys. He's just too good. He is the top player in that locker room if the Commanders do sign him, and it should be that way. Like I said, it's never been about whether or not Kareem Hunt can play or not. Kareem Hunt is someone that's strong. He's electric. He's elusive. He breaks tackles. He can evade the pursuit. He's really good at evading the pursuit. He's just got a feel for the game. And as a running back that is, the total package, stiff-arming people, able to turn the corner. He can juke. I mean, the guy can do anything that you're looking for from a running back. And then he has this strength that goes along with it. He's hard to take down. He was when he was with the Chiefs. He was in a limited role with the Browns. I think Kareem Hunt deserves another chance at being that top guy in an offense. And I think, if the Commanders use him on screen plays and if they swing some passes out to him, it's smart to use him like that because anytime you can get the ball in Kareem Hunt's hands, it's going to be a good thing for your football team. Those plays he was making with the Chiefs, they were not a fluke. The guy really is that good. he really is the real deal. Yeah, he might not be likable, at least for some people, because of the things he's done off the field. I remember, in the hotel room, I think that girl was out of line, but, I think like he kind of kicked her when she was down on the ground. Probably not the smartest choice to make, but at the same time, Kareem Hunt, made a mistake. We're all human. We all make mistakes. This wasn't as bad as some of the other incidents we've seen. Not ideal because it was caught on camera on one of the security cameras. But, I think Kareem Hunt has done enough to earn another chance. Forget about the mistakes he's made off the field. They weren't that bad, and, he's been doing everything he can to stay on the right path and not, get in any more trouble. I think, for Kareem Hunt, he deserves this chance to be the lead back in an offense again. He's, worked in a limited role and, managed to, hit free agency and get another chance to cash in, at least make some money here as he picks this next team that he's going to play for. So Kareem Hunt deserves a chance on many different levels. He deserves a chance to be a lead back in offense. He deserves a chance to make some money. He deserves a chance to be trusted as a number one running back until something changes. Right now, there's not anything that's going, wrong for Kareem Hunt right now. So we can't just hold him to what he's done in the past forever. At some point, we have to forgive and move on. I think that's the case with Kareem Hunt. Let's hope he doesn't let us down, because the guy is a tremendous football player. We would all like to see the guy fulfill his potential, because there's still potential there, When you're as good as Kareem Hunt, being a backup running back the story's not really aligning like it should, because this guy, if he's a number one at his last job, if he was the number one with the Browns, we might be honestly talking about someone that has Hall of Fame potential. That's how good Kareem Hunt is. He might be, a candidate for the Hall of Fame if he was still a number one running back. Sounds like the Commanders might take a chance on him. They might bring him in, sign him to the team. I don't anticipate Kareem Hunt being limited to a backup role if he signs with the Commanders. I think Eric Bieniemy would let him be the top guy in that locker room and let him look out for, whether it's Gibson, Robinson, whoever it is. So that's where we seem to be at with the Commanders thing. The other story we got is the Anthony Richardson story. So the Colts finally have their quarterback. Remember, they've been going through a bunch of veteran quarterbacks lately. It was like Phillip Rivers, it was Carson Wentz, it was Matt Ryan. They kept going with these older quarterbacks, these veteran quarterbacks that were kind of let go by one team. They would pick them up, then try to make the most of it, try to run with that quarterback, see if they can plug that player in, and make something happen. The only guy that really did anything was Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, when he came to the Colts, or when he went to the Colts, he showed out. He got him to the playoffs. They played the Bills really tough in that playoff game. It was a great job by Phillip Rivers. I think Phillip Rivers should have went back to the Colts and did another year there. He ended up, coaching high school. Well, because all of these veteran quarterbacks really haven't been a cure for the problem for the Colts, they decide to go out and draft a young quarterback named Anthony Richardson out of Florida. Anthony Richardson looks incredible. I'm just telling you guys right now, I've seen some of his film of him throwing on the run. I mean, he looks incredible. The Colts have to be happy right now. It's a little bit late, but hey, if it turned into Anthony Richardson, it's worth the wait. It was worth the wait if you end up coming away with Anthony Richardson, because I think the Colts are going to be very, very happy with Anthony Richardson just from what I'm seeing. I mean, The ability to be that fast, that big, to be able to throw on the run like that. I mean, those are some promising signs. I don't know if I'm going to sit there and keep him in the pocket if I'm the Colts. I'm going to design bootlegs. I'm going to design rollouts, let him throw on the run, start moving the pocket, because a team that moves the pocket, instead of just doing straight dropbacks in the pocket all the time, a team that will roll out, a team that will fake a run in one direction, then bootleg off at the opposite direction, those are the teams that are the toughest to stop, because the play is never predictable. When you have these teams that just straight drop back the whole game, the plays become too predictable. So you need to play action, you need to bootleg, you have to roll out, especially bootlegs and rollouts with Anthony Richardson. Anything that you can do to get him on the run, it's going to help the Colts. Sprint outs, those type of things. That's how you got to use Anthony Richardson. Let his athleticism create a spark for this football team. It can happen because he is that athletic. He is that big and strong. And if you put him in those situations where he's rolling out and he's scanning the field and he doesn't see anything he likes, well, then he can just tuck the football and run. I know you don't want to do that as much in the pros as you do at the lower levels because the hits are too big in the pros, but you just tell him to run out of bounds. If he ever tucks it, tell him to run out of bounds. Tell him to protect himself. Tell him not to take any hits. Tell him to live to fight another down. Those are the things you coach him up on. Get out of bounds. Don't ever have any contact because we need to protect you and keep you fresh. But still, he's a weapon. He's kind of like a Cam Newton. But there's something there. He's got that big frame like Cam Newton, but there's something there. I'm talking about early Cam Newton, not later on Cam Newton. He looks like Cam Newton at the beginning of his career, not Cam Newton at the end of his career. So that tells you something, because Cam at the beginning of his career was a great football player. I think Anthony Richardson might even have a chance to be even better, which is kind of crazy. Crazy that we're talking about that Anthony Richardson might end up being better than Cam Newton. But it's a real possibility from what I'm seeing. So the Colts might have a guy that can lead this team into the next 10 or 15 years. That's how good Anthony Richardson can be. It looks like he's going to be a franchise player for them for a very, very long time. That's all I got in the latest episode of the Cross the Middle Show. I'm John Kuzma. Thanks for listening. Check out the Cross the Middle Show wherever podcasts are found. I'm signing off.